I'm here today with Jean, fellow booktuber Jean. She's been on my channel before, but it's been
I think the first time
been
was
a good while.
2013 or something like that, or
that long
I
ago.
don't know. It was a long time ago.
Possible. We actually now live quite close together. Undisclosed location, but we live quite close together, which is really nice.
So we should really be doing this all the time, but
we
not.
should. Yeah, we have no excuse. So I invited Jean over today. She didn't even know what we were filming, but we are filming a video about space books in space. You might remember that last year I did a space readathon, and I did one the year before as well, and I promised I would make a review video of the space books. Yes. So here we are. So it's funny because sci-fi obviously covers a lot of stuff, but I think for this particular we wanted to pick books that are set in space.
Yes.
Can you tell me what your favorite like space setting is? Like, how did you get into it?
I always thought when it came to sci-fi I was not a space person. Like I thought I like my sci-fi like Earthbound, kind of John Wyndham style. Like I thought that was the kind of book I liked.
Monsters.
Yeah, based on nothing as well, like not having really read any books set in space. And I think it was really the first thing I read that was set in space that I realised actually space is cool. Apart from watching Star Trek, but if we're going into the realms of books, was probably Saga, the graphic novel series.
Really?
Actually,
Was that recently?
I read it when only like the first volume or second volume was out. It was years ago.
So I do remember reading Across the Universe when I was a teenager, and I really enjoyed that space setting. And then I think there wasn't that much space YA.
Yeah.
There weren't many, at least that I could find, like space books when I was a kid. I never really dipped into like sci-fi because I feel like that can sometimes feel like a bit of an unapproachable genre if you don't know where you're getting started. So anyways, there's been more now. We've read some. Yes. And we're going to share, it's not necessarily like all of our favorites, I guess, but
some good solid recommendations, I think. Yeah. Have you read this?
I have.
Okay, do you want to start with one we both read?
Yes.
We have here Binti by Nnedi Okorafor.
Yes.
The best space book, really, if there ever was one. I love this book so much.
It was really fun, and I can't remember where I got the recommendation of this from, or if I just randomly found it on a list somewhere. Yeah. And this cover is very striking. Yeah. And it's interesting because it's a novella.
Yes, so it's like very quick to read, but actually it packs quite a punch for such a short
There's
book.
a lot in there. There's a lot of world building.
Yeah. So it's actually the first in a novella trilogy, and they follow...
Number 2, unread by me.
Also very good. I gave them all 5 stars. I loved them all. They follow Binti, who is a human. She's grown up on Earth, but is in like a far-flung science fiction future where none of her people have ever left the planet to go to UMSA University, which is the like space university, and she's the first one of her people to leave her like village, and there's a lot of disapproval of her because of this. However, she like has to like kind of follow her dreams. However, things hit the fan when she leaves.
Really quickly.
Really quickly, and it gets very dramatic, but it's like such a nice combination of character development and exploring her experiences in psyche and culture, as well as like super dramatic sci-fi.
Because I do think it's one of those that when you start, you're like, okay, I can see where this is going, and halfway through you're like, okay.
I was not expecting that.
And then I've finished that. I have no idea what this is going to be. Like I feel like it could go anywhere. I think it's also a nice intro, and I think it's a good one to give to people as well if you think they might be into this genre.
I don't know anybody that hasn't enjoyed that, and I also think it's quite accessible if you don't read a lot of science fiction.
Definitely. On the theme of space schools across the galaxy.
Ooh, okay.
This is actually not out until the 15th of July, so I got an early proof copy. It is by Lauren James. It's called I literally read this morning, The Starlight Watchmaker, and it's published by the publisher Barrington Stoke, which we talked a little bit about earlier, but basically they publish a lot of what they call super readable YA. So they publish with a specific kind of reader in mind. Like they have a font and a kind of paper, like a really thick paper that you can't see through, and specific line spacing that helps people who have like slightly more difficulty reading or have dyslexia, which I think is awesome. So they also make their books quite short, and they work with incredible YA authors and basically like commission books from them. So that is what this is. I think this one is like a little bit more middle grade maybe, but it is about a android, which is I thought you'd like it, who is a watchmaker on a planet. You don't know that much about him. He seems a bit like sad and lonely, but he's on the campus of this intergalactic university. And this rich pompous boy comes and finds him and is like, my watch is broken, you have to fix it. And that turns into this whole plot that is going on, like a dangerous plot in the school, and they have to work together to solve it.
Oh.
It's actually really cute. I think it's one of those things where it's not an angry, lonely android, but it's like kind of like a sad android who realizes that he does want, I won't say human contact, alien contact, I guess. All the different creatures kind of remind me of Monsters, Inc.
Oh,
Like,
really?
There's some characters I'm like, this character is a giant ball of like rock and lava. Okay, it's like trying to imagine and like one of them is gas. This person is just gas. Anyway, it's very fun. It's very cute. I feel like I want to segue into a book by the same author that I have mentioned before, but I mean, if I'm going to talk about Lauren James, I wanted to give this a shout out as well. The Loneliest Girl in the Universe. Have you read this?
No, but I have heard you talk about it a few times.
Yes, so I worked with the publisher on this campaign like a year and a half ago. It was my favorite books of 2017, but because of this specific video, if someone's found it because they're looking for space books, I just wanted to give it a little shout out. This book was inspired by a calculation or an assignment Lauren had to do when she was studying, I want to say physics. Chemistry and physics.
Hey.
I got it. Yes. So she was studying chemistry and physics, and she had to do an assignment about one spaceship is going at this speed, and then another spaceship is going to try and catch up with it at this speed, and when will they meet? And that inspired the plot of the story, which is about a couple who are in a spaceship, and they're on this really long mission that's going to like last their lifetime to go to a new planet. They have a baby. They're not supposed to have a baby, and then they unfortunately die. You don't really know what happened, and this girl's growing up by herself on the spaceship. She has contact with Earth, like a therapist that's helping her through just being by herself. Then something weird happens on Earth, and she's not quite sure what, and then she gets told that a second spaceship is on the way because they've built more technology since then, and it's going to meet her there, like halfway on her mission. So I thought this was really fun. It's like such a good mix of just like a cool teenage character, this space setting, but also it's just about family and loneliness and fanfics.
I've borrowed Sana's copy for this, and this is The Stone Gods by Jet Winterson, and you should, because it's very good. This is almost 3 stories. It is sort of separated into 3 different sections in sort of futuristic other worlds, and in each story it very much focuses around love, but like in a kind of futuristic space setting, and it includes relationships from sort of across the sort of LGBTQ plus spectrum as well. I mean, most of Jeanette Winterson's books I think would be considered queer. She's one of my favourite authors. She's a beautiful writer, and this is just a book that completely like absorbs you, and you fall in love with the characters as they fall in love with one another.
I love the one Jeanette Winterson book I've read, and I just know I need to read all of it.
She's one of my faves. I love her so much. She doesn't write a lot of science fiction, but when she does, it is great. Good.
From love in space, we're gonna move on to something similar, I guess. Relationships in space. This is my very battered proof copy of Record of a Spaceborne Few by Becky Chambers, and it has this nice quote on it. From the ground we stand, from our ship we live, by the stars we hope. I actually interviewed Becky Chambers, and we talked a lot about how she wants, again, like sci-fi to be accessible. This is the 3rd in a series she's written, but you can pick it up at any point. There's like overlap in what universe it is, but you can totally read them on their own. So it's the 3rd one. This is very much about humanity and what it means to be human. So do you know anything about this one?
No, I heard a bit about the first one, but I don't really know the plot or anything.
What happened is that all humans left Earth in this fleet, and it's now kind of coming to the point where humans have integrated into the rest of the intergalactic community, and the last people still left on the fleet are kind of trying to figure out, why are they there? Should they like stick together in that way, or should they just like go out into the universe? And then there's also someone who's doing the reverse, who like has heard about this fleet and wants to see that way of life. I would say like it reads very beautifully and gently, and there's lovely relationships in it, older characters, younger characters, and it's kind of the opposite of like laser beams, space battles. It's just life in space.
Yeah, I like that.
Really interesting. Some politics involved, like people learning about the different habits of different creatures. And then also I love hearing about what other species and aliens would think about humans. It's like we think we're so advanced, and then everyone's like, oh, the humans. Okay, you've ruined your planet, come on up here. I guess we'll help you out if you. So like becoming like all humans becoming refugees in space.
Well, I don't have a copy of my next book, but
we'll put it in here.
It's very, very good. It's the first in a 4-part novella series, also published by Tor. So Tor published Binti, and they published quite a lot of novellas. This is the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. The first one's called All Systems Red, and they are brilliant. Like, I love these books so much, and they take that trope of the depressed robot and like just go with it. I always wondered, is it The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy that trope started with, or was that a parody of it?
I guess it's one of the most well-known ones.
It's a kind of trope that exists within science fiction, and Douglas Adams very much uses it to humorous effect. But in this book, we basically follow this android. They don't have a gender specified, and they are basically obsessed with like soap operas, and they just want to sit in their pod all day and watch soap operas in their like little capsule, but naturally they kind of have to make a living, so they get dragged into like being a bodyguard for humans and stuff, and they're like, humans are so stupid and they keep getting themselves into danger, and I could be just sitting in my pod watching my soap operas, and they feel so uncomfortable when people look them directly in the eye, and so they always wear their like helmet. They're so introverted, and it feels like it's very much exploring like sort of anxiety that humans feel, but through this android character, and I think they're like one of the most relatable characters in literature.
Every time you talk about this character, all I can think about is the like TV head from Saga.
Oh yeah.
The character is like human body with a giant TV. And you read them as like an ebook, or?
I listened to them on audiobook on script, so all four are on
good
script.
Audiobook?
Yes, very good audiobook.
Last one is one that I actually haven't finished, but it also matches up with the one that Jean wanted to discuss, so I thought I'd bring it up. This is my in-progress read. It is Solaris by Stanislaw Lem.
It's Stanisław.
What?
Yeah.
Stanisław?
Yeah, Stanisław.
Okay, well there's an L in there, but that's obviously not how it's pronounced.
Polish family.
Wait, really?
My granddad was Polish, but he died before I was born.
Oh, I didn't know that. This is a classic, translated. Apparently this is not a great translation, is what I heard through Wikipedia, but it did need sourcing, so who knows.
But is it reading well?
Yeah, it reads, like I was just saying, it reads a little bit like John Wyndham in a way, where it's probably written around the same time, so I feel like that is, it's probably one of the reasons it reads similarly. This is an English translation based on a French translation, based like on the original Polish.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. The main character is a psychologist who gets sent to a space station where people have been researching this planet that they're kind of hovering over. And when he gets there, he quickly realizes that things are not quite as they should be.
Yeah.
So the person he meets up with is being really weird and shady. You're just like, okay, this is something is off. I read something else recently in the mini Penguin Moderns that was a similar thing where it's like this remote research base and a new person comes in and everything seems kind of fine, and then he's like, no, weird, people are doing some weird stuff here and it's not all right. So yeah, I haven't finished that yet, but you have read something else by this author as well.
Yeah, so that sounds really good. I've never actually read that, but the Penguin Mini Moderns have a collection of a few of Stanisław Lem's short stories called The Three Electronites, which I think is like a great intro to his writing, and for me those short stories read like space fairy tales. They're sort of like little, almost like the kind of folk tales or moral tales that people tell each other in other stories, or that you find in like big collections, but set in space.
That's really cool. I've never read anything like that. Yeah.
I think you would really like it. So yeah, if you're looking for something little, it's always good to check out.
I think that is it for our space books.
I like it. It was a nice range.
Yeah.
Got some translated fiction.
Nice mix.
Yeah, great.
I'll leave all of them in the description below. Definitely go check out Jean's channel for more bookish content, and I'm also going to be on her podcast. Do you want to tell them what your podcast is?
So I have a podcast called That's Ancient History, where I talk about ancient history and classics, and like modern day interpretations of like Greek and Roman myths, because that's my like research area. And Sana is going to be in an episode asking me some questions that she's curious about when it comes
great questions
to the ancient world. They will be. We will have a great discussion. We're about to do that now. So that'll be up in May.
In case you haven't noticed, I've been making a video every day. This is a little 2-week project that I'm doing. Some people were like, wow, you're making a lot of videos. I announced it in the first video, but obviously if you missed that, then you don't know. But I'm making a video every day until the end of April, so this is one of those. I hope you're enjoying it. If you've missed some, which I bet lots of you have because there's been a lot, I will leave some links to those in the description as well, where you can just go to the video page.
My favourites so far have been graphic novels and sustainable fashion.
Thank you. That is it for now. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for having me.
Doei!